between ages 12 and 30, as if he went backpacking through India, joined a monastery, or took a very long gap year. I once had someone tell me very seriously that Jesus went to India, became a Buddhist monk, and then returned to Israel in a saffron robe, enlightened. Which is interesting because when he comes back in the Gospels, he's wearing tzitzit, arguing scripture, and quoting Deuteronomy. Not exactly monk vibes. If Jesus had shown up in Nazareth in a saffron robe talking about reincarnation, the rabbis wouldn't have asked questions. They would have called security. But the Bible is far less dramatic and far more Jewish. Luke 2:52 says, "And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man." That's not a mystery statement. That's a summary statement. You see, in Jewish scripture, when God gives you one sentence like that, it usually means nothing flashy happened, but everything important happened. This is not an exception, this is the pattern, echoed loudly throughout the Hebrew Bible. Luke is intentionally echoing 1 Samuel 2:26. Now the boy Samuel continued to grow in stature and in favor with the Lord and with man. Then, after years of silence, Samuel grew and the Lord was with him. And all Israel knew that Samuel was established as a prophet of the Lord. 1 Samuel 3, verses 19 through 20. The rhythm is unmistakable. Early promise, long hidden growth, one sentence summary, public reappearance with authority. This is how God works in Scripture. Moses, David, Elijah, all the same pattern. Moses disappears into Midian for 40 years before the burning bush. David is anointed king and then disappears into caves. Elijah vanishes into the wilderness before returning with authority. Joseph disappears into prison before ruling in Egypt. Judaism doesn't panic about the silence. Judaism understands formation precedes function. So what about Jesus? Luke tells us exactly what happened. He grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. This is not mystical secrecy. This is Jewish life. This is Nazareth, carpentry, synagogue, family, work, prayer, growth. No saffron robe, no secret monastery, just faithfulness. Jesus wasn't preparing to escape humanity. He was preparing to redeem it from within. Why do people invent stories? Well, here's the real issue. When Scripture is silent on details, people often rush to fill in the silence, not with biblical patterns, but with human imagination, human interpretation. It says, if it's not explained, it must be mysterious. It must suit my own interpretation. Biblical interpretation says, if it's summarized, it was ordinary, and that's the point. Speculation loves drama. Scripture loves faithfulness. And the Bible consistently tells us God does his deepest work quietly, long before he does it publicly. People ask, so what was Jesus doing all those years? The Jewish answer is simple. He was doing what righteous people do, growing up. If Jesus had shown up at 18 saying, Shalom, I'm the Messiah, no one would have listened. But when he shows up at 30, grounded, known, tested, Scripture saturated, people argue with him not because he's strange, but because he's too familiar. Final thought. The Bible does not hide Jesus' years. It honors them. Silence in Scripture is not absence. It's formation. And this pattern, this motif, is echoed loudly throughout the Hebrew Bible. That is a very Jewish way for the Messiah to arrive. And